You are listening to A Knock on the Wall. Imagine being locked inside of a concrete box with no mental stimulation. You hear a knock on the wall. Do you listen? Episode 1. Causative Factors. When you beat Rodney King, you beat me. This is an idea I have been bouncing around in my head for quite some time now. How did the Los Angeles Police Department's decision to beat Mr. Rodney King affect the children who suffered from the fallout of those events? The violence that ensued forced parents to make tough decisions for their kids, children that watched society flex like a rubber band into disorder and chaos. How do one of these children grow up to respect law enforcement and authority? You can't erase what we saw. We are the children of Rodney King. The year was 1991. I can imagine Rodney was like, paraphrasing Rodney King, "I'm full of blood." 1991 LAPD had pulled up on the side of my car and told me, "Hey, pull over." They just looked like to me like, "I'm gonna kick you in the you-know-what." I know what comes after a police chase after running from the police. Anyway, I just didn't know it was going to be that severe. I gave the lady my ID out of my back pocket, and she was walking away. I'm thinking it won't be that bad cause there is a female out here. When she walked away from me, I could see them run into the cars, popping the trunk, pulling billy clubs out of the cars, and then they started running towards me. As the female officer was walking away, I told her, "Hey, tell them that they don't have to do this." I'm getting scared now cause they just like inches from me, so once they get over, the female officer's husband walks up to me and just, kicked me in the temple, and then broke my eye socket, broke my cheekbone. And then he asked me, "How do you feel?" When he asked me how you feel, it just ripped me from all my decency and manhood. I just felt like a useless piece of crap. You know, this guy is going to ask me how I feel. So only thing I could think of is, and I couldn't say it right, "I feel fine. I feel fine," blowing all this blood out of my mouth. So I'm still laying down there, and he kicks me as he is walking away. He goes, then Sergeant Kuhn comes in. Once he walked in, he immediately tased me. He must have heard the highway patrol officer ask, "How did that feel?" Once he discharged, at first it stopped, I'm full of blood, and he asked me, "How do you feel now?" I didn't say anything. He shot me again. He said, "We won't kill you if you don't run." I'm already gonna run. I'm already looking for final clearance. I stayed down on the ground and was real calm for just seconds, just looking for clearance in between the police car and me. When you see me on the floor, you know I'm on the ground waiting for clearance to get out of there. When I see the clearance, I immediately get up. I don't put my hands nowhere near my pockets cause I don't want to look like a threat, so I put my hands up. I did not know my leg was broken after the second taser. They just started wailing on me, so it must have broken my leg. When I heard, "We gonna kill you if you run," I threw my hands up like I said. I didn't go anywhere near my pockets whatsoever, so when I went down I immediately tried to throw my hands in front of my face. It wasn't that I was launching at him, I caught my fall. I couldn't run anywhere, my leg was broke. At that point I had to just put my arms up, and whenever I put my arms up the guys would start wailing on me and say, "You stay still and put your hands behind your back." I'm like, I can't put my hands behind my back as you beating the crap out of me and tasering me at the same time. While the taser is going through me, this guy would start hitting me, beat me, and once the taser was stopped, they beat me even more. With all the beating and tasering, it looks like I was trying to get up, but I really wasn't. I couldn't even move to put my hands behind my back. Another officer, he puts his foot on my head, and they've gotten metal batons. He's got his foot on my head. He's saying, "Be careful, you're gonna to get shocked." He was trying to push my head straight into the pavement. After that, the taser starts up again. At that point I'm screaming like a dog. I'm hearing these guys called me a bunch of names that I've heard before. Some, you know, when you hear that you better get ready to die if you getting beat at the same time while you're hearing that. The only thing I could do was cover my brain and my marbles up, just trying and praying that I didn't die. It was like I didn't even have enough time to pray. I was just trying to cover my head and protect my marbles with my hand. When the LAPD decided to beat Rodney King that day, Luke 12:3 explains it, "Whatever is spoken in darkness shall come to light." What had been taking place in the streets and jails of Los Angeles County for generations was captured on grainy VHS video. On that day the J in justice was silent. At the time of the Rodney King public torturing, I was a 2-year-old baby in the heart of a famous African-American community in South Central Los Angeles. My heroin-addicted Egyptian father Hamdi convinced my white mother Colleen to move into a large network of apartments known as the Jungles. Being that he was off in prison, my mother was raising my older sister Jennifer and I alone. My mother has always been a San Clemente hippie more than racist, so she got along well with all the neighbors. To this day she still tells me it was the most neighborhood-friendly community that she has ever lived in. For me as a 2 and later 3-year-old baby, I was officially born into somebody else's idea of how the world should be, and to the Los Angeles Police Department that was a world of hate and demonic projection of violence and hate towards the people of South Central Los Angeles. When I turned 3 and the neighborhood stores caught on fire, where was the LAPD to protect us? They had fled. In their place the National Guard came through and set up a deadly curfew that cost our immigrant Asian neighbor his life. It seemed like the burning down of my mother's favorite store was her last straw, and in fear for our safety fled 80 miles east. Her stated reason was that she didn't want us to be caught up in the never-ending cycle of gang violence that Los Angeles had to offer. She stated that she was sick and tired of young mothers coming into work crying about their children either being murdered or sent to jail. She said she didn't want this for us, and that the Rodney King events were the fuel she needed to pack up and go. For this I have always labeled our migration from Los Angeles as refugees of police-instigated violence. You are listening to A Knock on the Wall. Imagine being locked inside of a concrete box with no mental stimulation. You hear a knock on the wall. Do you listen?